Hello friends! In this video, we're going to cover a couple of the quickest ways to create single or multiple aux tracks in Logic Pro 10. We're not going to cover every use for aux tracks, but we'll cover a couple of common uses and how to create them quickly. In this first example, let's take these 5 audio tracks and say that we want to create an aux track and send audio to it from these 5 audio tracks. We can quickly do this from the mixer view by selecting the tracks and clicking in one of the empty send slots and select a bus to send to, which in this case, I'll just select bus 1. Now I can go to each audio track and select whether I want to send pre or post fader and adjust how much audio is being sent to the aux from each audio track, along with inserting any plugins that I need on the aux track. The most common use for this type of send is for time-based effects, such as delay and reverb. In this second example, let's say we have the same 5 audio tracks and we want their output to go to an aux as a submix. All we need to do is select the 5 tracks, click the output of one of the tracks, and select a bus that we want to send to. In this case, I'll just use bus 1 again. Now that the aux has been created, I will rename it to something that makes sense. In this example, the aux would be used as a submix, so I'll just call it that. Something to look out for is to double check and make sure that the audio output assigned to the aux is where you want audio being sent to. In this case, the stereo output is fine, but you always want to make sure that audio is being sent where you intend for it to go. This third example is a very common use of aux tracks as well. In this example, we have a Logic drummer track with a simple beat that I'll play real quick. I'm using a producer kit, which gives me access to all of the drum channels, including a kick in and out channel and snare top and bottom channel. I'm going to create aux tracks for the kick and snare so that I can more quickly solo, mute, change the level of, or process the channels. I'll start by opening the mixer. I'll select the kick in and out channels, and then we'll select the output of one of the channels, which will bring up the output, bus, and panning dialog box. I will select bus and then choose the next available bus below the drum bus, which appears to be bus 4. I will rename the aux track to kick level. The aux track output defaulted to the stereo out, which is not what I want. I want it to send back into the drum bus, so I will select bus 2. The next thing that I want to do is right-click on the aux track and select Create Track, which will cause the aux track to be visible in the main window. The final thing that I'm going to do before I close the mixer window is to turn off the automation read mode. Now I'll close the mixer and move the aux track below the 2 kick track channels. It doesn't really matter where you put the aux track, so put it where it works for you. I just prefer having the auxes below their source channels. I'll solo the kick aux and press play to see if I set the signal routing up correctly. Everything looks good, so I'll open the mixer again and assign the snare channels to an aux. When I assigned the snare channels to the aux, it caused a couple of the channel meters to spike, but doesn't appear to be anything major, so I'll move on to renaming the aux. Next, I'll reassign the output of the snare aux to the drum bus. Right-click and select Create Track, and turn off the automation mode. I'll close the mixer, solo the snare aux, and see if I got the routing right. Looks good, other than I need to move the snare aux down one spot. Okay, looks like I set up the kick and snare auxes correctly. In this next technique, I'm going to show you how to create multiple buses very quickly. I'm going to show you how fast you can create 50 aux tracks. 50 might seem like a lot, but it's common to have 30 or more auxes being used in mixes, and it's nice to have aux tracks already created and assigned to buses before you begin a mix, and just ready for you to grab and use them. I'll start by clicking the New Tracks button. The dialog box appears, and I'm going to select audio as the type of tracks that I want to create. For this technique, I do not need to select anything for audio input, and I like to leave it set to no input. For audio output, I like to start with bus 1. Under audio output, I make sure that the ascending box is checked. The final selection that I need to make is how many tracks I want to create, and in this case, it's 50. And now I'll click Create. What this has done is created 50 different audio tracks assigned to 50 different aux tracks using buses 1 through 50. I'll open up the mixer, and the first thing we see is the audio tracks, and then we see the auxes, labeled in ascending order, aux 1 through aux 50, and assigned in ascending order to buses 1 through 50. Now that I've created the aux tracks, I don't need the audio tracks that were created, so I'll delete them. There are 2 ways we can delete the tracks, from the main window or the mixer. The better of the 2 ways is in the main window, as after I've deleted the audio tracks here, I'm done. I'll return back to the mixer, and all that is left is the original audio track that I started with and the aux tracks I just created. Here's what happens if we delete the audio tracks in the mixer view. I'll select the audio tracks and press Delete. A dialog box appears, and I'll select Delete Anyway. The audio tracks have been deleted from the mixer, but when I return to the main window, 50 objects have been left behind that I now have to delete from the main window as well. Now that the aux tracks have been created, I'll show you a couple of settings that I like to change. Select the aux tracks and turn off the automation read mode. The stereo output has been assigned as the output of the auxes, and something that I like to do is change the output of the auxes to no output. The reason why is that I prefer to assign the outputs as I have the need for using the auxes. I'll right-click and select Create Track. And for some reason, Logic turns automation read mode back on after this, so I'll turn it off again. After I've created them, what I like to do is hide the auxes until I have a need for them. So I can press H to show the hidden tracks, or I can go to Track, Show Hidden Tracks. With all of the tracks selected, I will select H on one of them, and now they will indicate that they are selected to be hidden. I'll now press the H key, which will hide the selected tracks, or you can also go to the track menu and select Hide Hidden Tracks. Now, when I have a need for an aux track, I show the hidden tracks, unhide one of the aux tracks, and hide the rest of them. I recommend using this technique at the start of a mix, before you have any tracks started or imported, and prior to using any buses. Probably the best use for this technique is to create the buses, and then save a mix template that you can recall and use prior to starting every mix. One last method for creating an aux track is done from the mixer. I can go up to the Options menu and select Create New Auxiliary Channel Strip, but I'll use the shortcut Control-N. For example's sake, I'll create 50 aux tracks like before. In creating the auxes like this, the difference is that the buses aren't automatically assigned to the aux tracks. So I'll select all the tracks, go to the input of the first aux track, hold down the Option key and select bus 1. Now buses have been assigned to the aux tracks in sequential order, from bus 1 to bus 50. Like before, I would right-click and create track, turn off the automation mode. Change the output of the aux tracks to no output. The only other thing I want to mention here is that in the previous method, the aux tracks were created with the faders up at 0. And in this method, they are created with the faders all the way down. Well, that's it for now. Leave a comment below and let me know how you're using aux tracks in your projects. Thank you for the likes and subscribes, and I'll see you again soon.